Hello everyone. We're looking at index futures again, U.S. index futures, and I want to discuss an indicator that is one of my favorite indicators. For me, the index futures, and I'm not biased to one, although I tend to trade ES and YM more, but I really do take advantage of the four. Actually, the three that my favorite are NQ, ES, and YM, but yeah, I'm about to say ER2, but TF is also a great index future. Hopefully down the road, EMD will pick up some liquidity because I think that could be a great index future to trade also, especially with the tick value. But it does need a lot of liquidity. As an index trader, and that's my bread and butter is index futures, and then the rest is swing trading and stocks and other types of futures like energy futures and some metals and some currencies. But one of my favorite indicators for index futures, and that's what I day trade, so is the tick bias. And it's this line down here, and hopefully it comes out well in the video because what you have is sort of a gradient color in the background, and then you have these points, which are green, and here they're red. And the idea of this is that tick being one of my favorite indicators, which a lot of people use, NYSE tick that is, has particular patterns that can give you clues what type of a day it's going to be. And what I mean by pattern is that it can set a bias, a daily bias, and that bias can be it can give that bias away within the first anywhere between 20 minutes to 1 hour of the day. So as you, as a person who's using ticks a lot, I would tell you that the first few minutes you should really ignore what it does. You could say the first 5 or 15 minutes, but after that, it can give you a great idea of what the bias of the day is. In other words, what I want to show you is notice how everything is solid green here, and then do you see how the dots, the points, are green, but in the background the color is starting to change, sort of going from green, darker green to red. Okay, and the points, the green points, are becoming visible. What that's telling you is that the points are the bias, but when the points and the background are the same color as it is here, okay, that's your strongest bias, and if it stays that color, if it doesn't switch back and forth. Okay, so I've sort of increased the spacing so you can see what it does on a video, because it's obvious on a monitor if it's in front of you, but on a video it's different. So the idea of this indicator is to give you a intraday bias, okay, which can give you heads up to trend days. Notice, I'm going to squeeze the chart now because I want to show you, this is the high of the day, which is around 191, 192, and the low of the day is about 170, let's say 177 and 3/4. Okay, that's a pretty tight day, tight range day. There really wasn't a strong trend where we open and then we close on the highs, or we open and we close on the lows. There was no trend, just a lot of back and forth. Now, what you're getting is, and if you look at the indicator below, you see how it's red at one point, it was green, then red, then green, then red again, red, green, and on. This is typical behavior where the market doesn't really have a lot of doesn't have any conviction towards one direction or the other. You'll get strong price moves like here, but you're not going to have a continuous trend. In contrast, I want to show, and up here, and this runs off the tick. If I go to okay, as you can see, it's based on tick, not on ES. So you do need to have tick on your chart, but if you don't want to pay attention to the tick, you can set it to make that invisible, or you can just squeeze it up here like that. Of course, if you use the ticks, you're going to want to look at it. And I just have the tick trend on there and some horizontal levels. Okay, now in contrast, I want to show you what the pattern would be for a day where we continuously make higher highs and higher lows. Notice how, let me increased the bar spacing just for a small period, and it was very insignificant, and that was in the morning when we were coiling up to take off. Okay, on the pullbacks nothing changed, and this is why I like this indicator so much, because it gives me the bias. It doesn't mean that it's not a timing indicator. It's not anything like that. You would use different indicators. It just gives you the bias. The bias is up. Okay. So if you're going to short, the shorts have to be scalps and they have to be in and out fast. Okay, now, if we look at this day, this is a day where we open and we close on the lows. This is a day we open. If we hadn't gapped up, that took away a lot of the price move because of this gap up. If we hadn't gapped up, it would have even looked nicer on a chart, but this is the day where we open and we close on the high. Okay, we close on the high of near the intraday high. Now, here's another day, the next day. Okay, and as you can see, it's pretty much red the entire day except the first few minutes, which I said the first few minutes of the tick you really should not put too much weight on it. And as you can see, the bias turned red, stayed red, just for a period of time, a little bit, which is not too big of a deal. But the reason that happened, and that's why we're getting these large short covering rallies, and that's why this happened. Otherwise, if it was a day where the pullbacks were really shallow, this wouldn't have happened. Anyways, this is an indicator that once you get used to it, you can see the patterns as the market is unfolding, and it can help you a lot because it takes the guesswork out. You know that we're going to make continuously lower lows, and so your job is just to short the rallies. And if it was an up day, then just buy the pullbacks, etc. So that's the indicator pretty much. You can combine that. That's a bias system or a bias indicator. This is more of a trend indicator. This is more of a simple trend indicator, that tick trend. You can combine the two or whatever methods that you're using. I just wanted to show you this little indicator. It's not something new. I've been using it for a long time. It's just I decided to, make it available to you guys. And it doesn't take a lot of room on your charts. You can just place it down like that. Okay, that's tick bias. Thanks for watching.